Welcome to the Morning Skate Podcast, brought to you by whatever sponsors Matt says in this video. I am your host, DJ Mitchell, here with the one they call Moods, the fake one, not the real one. Matt Moody, welcome to the show. Matt, we had someone in the Discord almost take down everything. I think they got second. You did lose money, and I won over on Underdog for Tuesday night. How was your Wednesday going?
I'm not sure. I have UPL and nothing else going, so probably bad. But maybe I wake up and they'll score a bunch of goals in the late games too. But yeah, Tuesday was a really cool slate. Congrats to AJ Truth. Came into the Discord. I honestly didn't recognize the screen name, so I did the recap of the contest, late last night. And so I walked through each of the top three teams in the contest, and I sort of not criticize them, but I was like, I don't see this play. I don't really get where this was coming from, just from like a constructive or how I was seeing things perspective. But it feels kind of bad for him to come in and thank us, and then I'm out here sending an email with an article. It's like, yeah, Miro Heiskanen kind of screwed you, but if you played Seth Jones like a sharp person, you would have won, $70,000 more. But hopefully that $30,000 is enough to wipe his tears, because that was a really cool, really good lineup. Obviously, we were all over the Michkov stuff. That was just a must-have to be at the top of the leaderboards. And yeah, really cool for new faces to be at the top of these leaderboards and not Sissima. The last time I wrote up a large slate like that wasn't the Fantasy Acrowl Championship. It was Sissima winning the 200K contest last year, and that was just miserable. That wasn't any fun. So Hebrew Cheetah's a big name in the space. He's not huge, and obviously AJ, coming in second. Just it was a good night. It wasn't a great night. It probably should have been a great night. But we'll take good around here these days.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, no, thanks to Joey for the shout out there as well. It was definitely one of those situations where I'm sweating watching the game in bed, being like, I just want to go to sleep, but I can't because I could definitely win this if things break right and overtime. I was assuming if McDavid got an assist, I could probably win it. So great slate yesterday recording, but Tuesday if you're listening on Thursday. Wednesday, I played a lot of Sabres, I played a lot of UPL, and I played a couple of interesting stacks against it, but we're not going to recap that at this point because they could all finish outside the month for all I know. 2 games haven't even started yet. We're recording at 9 Eastern before the final 2 games, so we might as well look forward to the slate that you care about. Matt, as I mentioned, and if you want to look back on a slate that mattered, I posted the article right here. It's also connected in the description of the video on YouTube. And if you are listening to this on the podcast feed, if you want to find it, it's pretty easy. It's like everywhere. So that we are involved with. I retweeted it, you tweeted it, et cetera, et cetera. The only other big news of the day is that Detroiters came to Netflix, which I like to think I did exclusively. So if you were looking for a TV show to unwind, I would definitely check out the show Detroiters on Netflix. Matt, anything to say on that before we get into the slate?
To buy me time, why don't you rank your 5 favorite Detroiters episodes? No, I'm kidding.
I could
yeah.
Yeah.
I know you could. It's scary how much time you have to spend on frivolous nonsense.
I really think it's just like I don't know what it is. It's probably undiagnosed ADHD or something, but the fact that I just don't stop. Like I run the meme account and I have so much fun doing it. And I do all this hockey stuff and I work a full-time job and they seem to love me. So I guess I'm doing the work and
you're at a concert or a music festival every other day. It's just preposterous. I don't understand.
Where I miss out on things though is I see like 0 movies. Like I just don't I can't sit down for that long and just take away that much time. I try to watch a TV show here or there, and that's all I really do in hockey season. So, but Detroiters, if you need a break, if you're tilting and you're losing, just go to Netflix, start Detroiters. That's my pitch. Matt's still putting some things together. So yeah, I guess with all that being said, I will also just give a quick little shout out to playing on underdog, and maybe just a couple of notes from the slate. We talked a lot about stacking. I noticed a lot more people that were stacking pretty heavily, and it was like I had a 2-man stack in my lineup that won. I do think it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, it's not quite like drafting season long where it's like, are you stacking at the risk of giving up something else? But it was pretty rare to get a Jack Hughes, Connor McDavid team, which was kind of the start of what my roster was, because someone took the Bouchard Hyman at the turn. So I was sort of in this situation where I'm kind of looking down at this team that I'm like, well, it's not going to be exactly what I guess I would have liked. I end up just deciding if I'm taking McDavid, I might as well have a bring back in Michkov, which is going, again, I would assume, again, if you consider it's a 6-man draft, so he could only go a maximum of 6 of teams. I would guess he was being drafted in under 50%, probably closer to 25% of total lobbies. So again, in 70% of lobbies, we'll just say he was going undrafted. I felt like his upside was really, really high. I did the Dougie Hamilton to go with Jack Hughes. That was the one miss, and you got to get the right goalie, but I don't think it's anything more than just sort of spreading the wealth. Vasilevsky slipped. I didn't have any Vancouver, of course. I thought that was totally fine. Like, Vancouver will truck pucks from time to time, and that was good to see. But again, like, you might be listening to this and being like, so you just took Jack Hughes, Connor McDavid, Michkov, Dougie Hamilton. Who were you drafting against? The last piece in was Sam Reinhart, of course. I was like blanking for a second. Again, I actually planned on maybe stacking Florida, because I took Reinhart before Hamilton or Michkov, and Verhaeghe goes. I couldn't consider Lundell because I already had 2 centers. So I kind of walked myself into a weird spot, and you can get bailed out by having a bunch of guys that score, 2 goals. So yeah, long-winded way of saying that's how I did it. And it was more of, damn, that guy took that guy I wanted. Damn, that guy took that guy I wanted. And just playing to what fell into my lap and winning. I don't even think it was all that much skill based. I feel like I had so many better rosters, but
No, I mean
Michkov is Michkov.
And that's the name of the game. You fire enough bullets, and you ultimately just hope to run into the right combination of players. Like, that's the whole thesis behind MME. It's not that that you know everything and that you're going to play 150 of the same builds. Obviously, whatever you're playing 40 or 20 or whatever, you're not going to, oh, well, actually, I think Jack Hughes is the best play. I'm going to take him 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. Like, you're not doing that. You're, dealing the card, you're playing the cards that are dealt to you. And just sort of hoping to pull the right levers there, as far as, the going down the board for Michkov as a stacking partner to McDavid. That makes a ton of sense, because look what happens. The biggest precursor of penalties is opposing team penalties. There's no better correlation in the sport than, that. It's not, oh, well, this team's better, so they're going to, no, it's just, did your team take a penalty? Okay, well, it's more than likely you're going to get a power play coming up here. And Michkov scores 2 early power play goals. Obviously, Edmonton looks like they were falling apart at the seams. They got a little bit of life, and they got some power plays back their way. And, what do you know? McDavid gets there in overtime to push you over the line. So many ways to play. I certainly would try to have a bit more stacking, but I promise you, looking at your lineups, I bet you had a ton of, 3-man stacks or multi, 2 pairs of stacks. And so this lineup just didn't fall out perfectly, and that's fine. It doesn't really
I had a Michkov,
you didn't do anything wrong.
Tippett. Yeah, I had a Michkov, Tippett, McDavid, Hyman, Bouchard with whatever goalie. It was a good goalie. I think it was like, honestly, Decord or something that got there with, saves and whatnot on the format. And that team barely cashed. And it's just funny to be like, I played it right. That's a way better chance of winning probably, but Hyman is Hyman, and he just didn't come along for the ride at all. So you're just sitting there like, well, if you have one player that basically, becomes not a 0, but like he scored like 2, you're just completely screwed. Like, you throw Reinhardt in there, that lineup wins. You know what I mean? So like, it is what it is. Sometimes you can, whatever, but if you're close to ready, I think we can be at least close to moving on. We have a lot of games to get to. That's
Yeah.
enough underdog talk before Jimmy gets into the chat and actually kills me instead of saying he's going to kill me. He's going to find a way. So, yeah, just guess if you're still typing away a little
yeah,
bit.
we're
There's a
whatever.
few 6.5s, nothing below a 6. Okay, you're good.
We're just going blind into the last few games of the night,
talk.
but we'll do what we can. We should mention off the top that this slate is not nearly as fun as the Tuesday slate with the NFL back in action on Thursday night. It's only 20K to first in both the $15 and the high stakes, which, 20K is about what we should expect for most of the year. So buckle up, settle in if you're, new, that this is what you can get used to. It doesn't really impact things, I don't think. Like, you're not building a substantially different roster for a 15,000 person contest than a 5,000 person contest, I would think. 6,200 on Thursday night to be exact. Like, I don't think you're changing things all that much as far as your approach. But it is just worth noting that, like, we were dealing with a very special slate on Tuesday, and that this one is a bit more standard and normal. So I think we've covered everything we need to as far as the plugs and whatnot. So let's just get started here with New Jersey at Ottawa. DJ, what do you have for us here?
Yeah, 6.5 plus 100. I believe that's tied for the highest there. Oh no, there's one higher than that did move a little bit. Yeah, that minus 120 on for the Road Devils seems about fair, I guess. I don't know. I mean, the Ottawa's not all that great, but it's it's an exciting game. It's an expensive game. I could see myself looking at the Devils for a stack. I did put Jack Hughes on the cover. I do love the full correlation, and it doesn't feel priced up that much when you consider that Bratt 6,200 and Timo's 5,800, Dougie 6,100. Dougie, the guy that didn't get there, but he is one of the higher, shot on goals. He's had three blocks bonuses to start the year. Just all rates, all minutes, no Luke Hughes still. Like, it does feel like there's a way to build that feels really good, and it's definitely in consideration. But again, I don't think it's clearly one of my favorite stacks. But I definitely do like it a good bit.
Yeah. My screen share is just broken, or my Excel is broken, I should say. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment while it thinks. Just showing a bunch of blanks on the screen. But if you are on the YouTube feed, of course, this goes up as a podcast, and if you're on the podcast feed, this is up on DJ's YouTube channel. So if you want to cross pollinate as far as where you're listening to this, feel free to do so. And yeah, I will try to get my Excel sheet back in order for the YouTube viewers, but it's just I don't know what's going on. It's just like not loading in the relevant pages. Very strange. But so in this matchup, I suspect that people will be rather interested in. Wait, did I just completely? I did the order based on the score. Damn it, that's so annoying. How
Yeah, it's
different
fine.
between.
I knew you were wrong, but it's okay. It doesn't.
I just don't get, like, I'm sure it's got to be an order of the game number. The NHL assigns each game a game number. How can they not align on which teams go first? I don't know. Whatever. In this matchup, I would say that Brady Tkachuk immediately stands out as relatively cheap because of just how high of a floor he has. As far as the upside at 8,300, I'm not positive. But with these large slates, 11 games, obviously ownership can concentrate, but even when it does, we saw it on Tuesday, like with Columbus being nearly 30% Sean Monahan. It doesn't tend to lend itself to really super high scores as far as like what you need to finish in first place. Not to say that you don't need the outliers that do occur, but just those outliers are not as likely to be paired with like good plays, just because there's so many more options than a 4 or 5 game slate where, like, if a guy scores 2 goals, you're going to need that guy no matter what. So if Brady Tkachuk gets 6 shots and a goal and puts up 20, I honestly think that's pretty solid. Like, it's not ideal, but it's pretty good as far as your path to first place. And we could be in for some interesting Ottawa defense usage. Thomas Chabot left practice today, and that's on top of Artem Zub being ruled out for the next week or two. So we've got a decent amount of value, I think, on the Ottawa side to just sort of stack around Brady Tkachuk, thinking about like how to play this game. The New Jersey top line takes a huge hit because Timo Meier's not on the first power play, which, to be fair, I do give them credit for. If it's not working with him not touching the puck, like it's not working. This role that he's being asked to play is not the role he had in San Jose. So, like, again, I fully understand why they're doing it. You can't just put your 5 best players on the ice and expect them to figure it out every single time. But it does hurt because obviously Jesper Bratt's a little bit cheaper than Jack Hughes and, not as good fantasy wise, but Timo Meier is even cheaper than that. And so, like, it really doesn't make sense to play Jack Hughes without his least expensive line mate who has insane rates in Timo. And the lack of a power play job just really hurts him. So I guess all that to say, I'm not super interested in here, but I will keep an eye on the Thomas Chabot news because if both Zub and Chabot wind up missing this game, that would be a big deal for someone like Jake Sanderson. And even if not, JBD or Nick Jensen or Hamonic, like all these guys are super cheap and someone's got to fill the Zub role. So like you're going to get a punt D right away. I still can't screen share. This is ridiculous. Yeah. My Excel just completely froze. But nevertheless, we trudge forward. If you have anything else to add there, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're definitely not game stacking, to the probable perfect outcome. There's cheap pieces to try. I don't know. I think there's a couple things we're going to get to pretty quickly that I like a good bit more, I think, than anything in this game. It's a great, like, again, like the tied for the second highest total. There's very clear high upside correlation. We already went over it. It's in play. Check tomorrow to see if any injuries change anything, but I'd be expecting the one difficult piece that I think you may have mentioned, but the Timo not on the top power play thing is difficult. I really like just doing Hamilton Hughes as a 2-man could be totally fine. Yep. Let's move over if you're ready though. Unless if there's anything else you wanted to show.
Yeah. For right now, let's see. I did not move Zub out. I'm not sure if we saw who Sanderson was paired with as a result of the Zub injury. But it does just go to show that, like, if Chabot's out, who else is going to step up on defense? It's probably Hamonic for the minimum. And he's a perfectly fine, floor player. So that's about it. No, really, Greg, but we don't care. It gave Michael Amadio a power play job. Congratulations to Michael Amadio. Over to, let's just do it in order of my stupid spreadsheet. I hate that this occurred, sure. But yeah, let's go to Vegas and Tampa. Do we have a line on this game?
Vegas at Tampa, 6 over under, -115 on the over. It is a -135 for Tampa, +114 for the Vegas Golden Knights, coming off a tough loss in Washington.
Okay.
One, it kind of just felt like that was so destined to happen. Vegas absolutely rolling, every win at home. They go into Washington and just did not play up to maybe what you'd like. If you're a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights. Matt, take it away in the studio.
Yeah, I think something that we're maybe quickly learning about Tampa is that they're still a really solid team in the early going. They pretty much put both Vancouver and Carolina just in chokeholds defensively. I don't think those were Vasi wins, so to speak. Like, they were just kind of dominant defensively. So right away, maybe that kills the game environment a little bit. But on the Vegas front, they did not practice today. Victor Olofsson went down with what looked like a pretty, not nasty leg injury, but it did seem like didn't seem like your standard, it was just a bruise type of thing. Like, his leg folded under him and he couldn't put pressure on it leaving the ice. I'm expecting him not to play here, which leaves both a power play 1 job and a top 6 role up for grabs. He was playing alongside Hurl and Dorofiev at the time of his injury. So for right now, I've put Brendan Brisson there and moved Dorofiev up to the top power play. Really, the only other possibility, in my opinion, is that one, William Karlsson returns. I don't think we're close to that at this point. My guess is after the road trip, maybe for him, but keep an eye on it. Or they recalibrate everything and move Holtz to the top power play, meaning they move Eichel to his strong side and Holtz to like the one timer spot. It just doesn't seem likely given how good the power play's been to start. Like Eichel and Mark Stone are tied for the league lead in points right now. That certainly, so I don't think they're going to try and change much, meaning the lefty shots in Dorofiev and Brisson, one of those guys should be on the top power play. So I'm keeping a close eye on Morning Skate Thursday to see if we get that value. Dorofiev rocks. Like, he's actually a really fun offensive weapon. And he just didn't get power play time to start the year. So, like, that was kind of disappointing. But, if the role open, I could very well see Dorofiev being every bit the play that Olofsson was, if not slightly better, honestly. And I don't think people will play it. So I'm watching that pretty closely because this will be a really key source of value if you can get by the fact that that Tampa has been good defensively in their first couple games here.
Just to make sure, it looks like Korpisalo is starting for Boston. I know we're recording this while that's going on, so if you had Swayman, just wanted to mention that.
No, I have UPL.
I was just swapping my ranks quick.
Who's given up it's rare that you can play a goalie who gives up 2 milestone goals. But yeah, gave up Crosby's 1600th point and Malkin's 500th goal. So congratulations to us for the UPL play.
I can't believe with 7 minutes left, absolutely 0 reporters have actually said who is starting in net. It's so stupid. It's just like, whatever. It's Boston. Yeah. Get a grip. So I missed probably 95% of what you were saying, and I will be useless for this game at this point. But to be fair to myself, right. I had no interest in playing it. I wasn't going to play it. I could consider Kucherov, but I'm just not going to do that again. Yeah. I know kind of what I'm playing at this point, and I there's nothing wrong with this. Like, there's nothing wrong, I think, especially playing Tampa here, because they'll be much lower owned, coming off of what should have been a slate winner. Like, it had all the markings of a slate winner. I just didn't win the slate. What are you going to do? Too much mid-range got there. Ho-hum. So I think if Tampa's in play, I'm not interested in Vegas at all. The shooting percentage, it should come down. I can move on. I just want to check this to make sure that I see anything else leading me to it's definitely Korpisalo, but I guess we're just not going to know.
Yeah, I mean, the team graphic should be good enough. But in any case, the only thing on Tampa worth noting is that we did get some line D-pair reconfigurations. Now, I was really surprised to see Darren Radish check in at 3% owned last slate. I don't see Shane Gostisbehere on this slate either, so maybe that just comes up naturally. But like, Darren Radish is literally Steven Stamkos on the power play. Like, he's not as good, of course, and we talked about this all on Tuesday's show. But 3% versus like Gostisbehere's 24%, I think it was just an insane gulf, and it just shows me that the projections aren't properly accounting for Radish's power play role. Also noteworthy is that during the game, he played most of his time on ice with Victor Hedman, which, doesn't mean he's going to play 25 minutes like Hedman will. But it does mean that his job is very safe and that he does correlate pretty well with guys like Kucherov, Point, and Gensel. So Radish, once again, one of the best D plays of the night. And once again, do not think projection systems will get there. Heading into Vancouver and Florida here. DJ, do we have a line on the Canucks and Panthers?
Of course we have a line. It is. Do you want to play? Do you want to play guess that line yet? I think this is a good one to play guess that line for.
You know what? Sure, I can look like another donkey with the Chicago take from last show.
As opposed to normal.
Exactly. Barkov and Kachuk are both out again, I'm pretty sure. Although, is Kachuk possible? I don't think Kachuk's a possibility. I'm not sure. Let's go Florida minus 115.
It is Florida minus 118. I was a little bit surprised. I don't know why I thought, like, I feel like as the Bucks seemingly haven't overreacted to the injuries, I was wondering if you would. And they don't again here. Yeah, again, Vancouver coming off of pretty good freaking year, all things considered. But yeah, no, still the underdogs here. 6 over under. I guess I have tentative interest here. There's still cheap pieces. Lundell up to 4,800, not power play one. Erod up to 50 wide. It's like you're kind of buying a high after a couple games that I thought were much better than this one. So I do think I'll be out here. I did put Reinhardt on the cover, but that's just because he's been, 8 points in 5 games. Barkov comes out, doesn't care, scores 3 goals. Just what a stud. But yeah, it's just not great on the Florida side. Doesn't feel very cohesive, and I'm just not going to play it.
Yeah, it's another great night for one-offing Florida pieces, I think. Anytime a team rolls 11 forwards, it's just, a one-off city. I mentioned this in the Slate write-up, but me not seeing the Reinhardt 2v2 over like Yossi and Nick Foligno, it wouldn't have won me anything because, Foligno actually was the goal scorer for Chicago. But I was playing around with 2v2s and played around with Erod, Bennett, individually as like one-off pieces there, and didn't get to Reinhardt, and obviously had the salary too with the OC coming out. Felt a little bit bad, but obviously Reinhardt's going to lead this team without Kachuk and Barkov. So yes, the price is expensive, but anytime again there's 11 forwards, you're just getting those unique correlations because he's gonna play with more than just Lundell and Lucerina at 5-on-5, not to mention of course the power play that exists. I should mention during the game we saw Rodriguez drop to the third line. Didn't see if there was a power play after that. There wasn't, so like assume he's still top unit, but it could be Mackie Samoskevich if we get that information that like Samoskevich is replacing Rodriguez. It's worth pointing out that Samoskevich does have pretty good college stats from a couple years ago before he came out, and pretty good prospect pedigree. Was picked in the back end of the first round in 2021. So if we get Samoskevich into the top 6, he's definitely in play on this slate. But yeah, otherwise, not a ton interesting here. They just don't have anyone else on their roster with Kachuk and Barkov out. So like they're going to go 11-7 again if everyone's healthy here. So assume that's the case. And on Vancouver, we didn't get a practice today either. So this is what they rolled with. Who knows if it sticks? Again, they got plastered by Tampa. So like, it all could change. Who knows? They scratched Daniel Sprong and didn't score any goals. Who knew? I mean, just who could have guessed that would happen? But it happens every damn time. So let's head over to Dallas and Washington.
Dallas at Washington. Before you even ask, let me tell you, it's a 6 over under. Got to tell you, kind of don't mind that under. Dallas is a minus 142 favorite going from Dallas to Washington after a less than, I guess, stellar win, I would say, and with a shootout win over the Sharks at home. I believe that was their home opener too. And yeah, they didn't look great, but they didn't look bad. It just kind of felt like one of those games where, the Sharks buried some chances. They could not bury anything. Wyatt Johnston missing wide open power play chances. And, it definitely could have gone a different direction. But, I guess everything leading me to the point of, I do think people will play Dallas. People will want to stack against Washington, and I won't. And I absolutely, and again, it's like every year there's a couple teams that I just say, like, I'm just not going to play against. And I just, again, like Dallas is basically a stay away from me. Like, even with these injuries, as you're already showing, there's no Tyler Seguin expected again. They did bring Bork into the lineup, didn't get a metric ton of run. You hate to see it. Maybe in a game that they're trailing, we'll get a little bit more of Maverick, but first NHL games, well, at least the regular, it's going to happen. Power play is very well correlated, is the piece that I think gets them a little more ownership. And again, I respect this Capitals team. I think they're actually a pretty solid team overall. They're not going to, break the slate very often, but there's a lot of pieces here that I think can. But again, I'm just not doing it against Dallas.
Yeah, the thing in Dallas's favor is that their fourth line is literally just a guy, like personified. So like we should see these top 3 lines all get some pretty decent run. The Donov got the Sagan role like full out. He even got the power play job. It wasn't Maverick Bork. So like, yeah, either of these top two lines very much in play for their given costs. And it's just a matter of if ownership gets there. I kind of suspect it won't, but I don't know. We'll see. We're not the ownership show. That's where
Yeah.
the actual projections come in and sort of all the industry chatter. But heading over to the Washington side, can't imagine they switch anything up here. And they still have this very cheap second line. They have Ovi at 6K. Very reasonable ways to go if you do oblige. Jake Chikrin, probably underpriced still, 4,200. Coming through for us coming through after failing as I believe 35% own chalk on their opener on Saturday. So good to see that he's not completely broken, but you can just see it. His statistical profile is far superior to that of your normal top pair $4,200 defenseman. He actually will block, he'll shoot, he does fun stuff, and he correlates directly with Ovi if you're trying to play Ovi but can't afford John Carlson, for instance, because Ovi will play all 2 minutes of every power play from here until the end of time.
Yeah, agreed. Ovi was, like where he failed me on the opening slate was within 0 shots of my head for 3. He had 6. On underdog, where hits actually count, he's had 7 and 6 with 3 points and none of them being goals. Like, he very well could have broken the underdog slate as well. He could have been Michkov levels. If one of those assists turned into a goal, he probably could have beat him, honestly. Like, he had so many points. They want to give him at least a shout over there, especially because he's still checking, he's still playing hard, and he's still shooting. So
I mean, that is a fantastic call, and hopefully the underdog folks listening we'll take that into account, because hits just add to your ceiling, honestly.
The odds that he is drafted in more than 20% of lobbies at all. I'm not, again, of course, there's 1/6 chance in each lobby he could be picked, because not every team can take him. I bet 20% of all of the lobbies, meaning that his ownership is going to be incredibly low, like Michkov's. It's a piece that I definitely will be overweight on comparatively to the field, even against Dallas, because again, like, it's not like they can't give up a goal or two. We definitely saw that. They have, just whatever. It's literally hockey. The puck is made of rubber and it bounces on ice. Like, some shit happens. His floor is huge on that site. I can move over if you're ready. I really didn't have any other major notes. Again, I think we kind of showed it, but for the audio listener, it is Johnston, Robertson, Hintz, line 1. So expect that to stick together for Dallas.
Yeah, good call. LA, Montreal. We simply don't know what LA is going to do in the aftermath of their demolition at the hands of the Leafs. So just stay tuned. Hey, the Sabres are winning. When did that happen?
Yep. Paterka scored, then McLeod scored immediately.
That's awesome. Like, good for them.
Within like 40 seconds, and UPL might get the bonus if we pray a little harder.
All right. What does really concern me about the Kings is that it does look like Trevor Lewis is replacing Warren Fogle on the Fiala Byfield line. If the last shift of the second period is telling us anything, who knows? I don't know if it really does. I suspect Jordan Spence will draw right back into the lineup after being a scratch on Wednesday. Like, it's very clear that he was overmatched against Ottawa. Like, he just had a really bad game. But I don't think that's anything long term. Like, when your options to replace him, actually, who was the guy who replaced him? I obviously don't have him on the sheet here, but it's not a good player. It is Caleb Jones. That's right.
Caleb Jones. That's right. I was literally that's right. Caleb Jones. I knew it too. I was like, I know if I look, and Caleb Jones.
So
actually got 13 minutes so far, so he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of he's playing, like, Brant Clark is probably going to play another 20 minutes here. 3,400 top power play seems like a certainty. One game shouldn't change that. He literally had 3 power play assists in Ottawa, so like, like, he's going to be a top target anytime Drew Doughty is out and he remains below 4K. We know that he is unbelievable prospect pedigree. A top 50 Pronman guy, and I think that's underselling his fantasy relevance, because Corey Proman's not trying to tell us how good he'll be in fantasy, but Brant Clark's shooting numbers, even his block shots numbers were incredible in small samples last year, and very consistent point producer and shot producer throughout the minors and juniors. So I think this might be the first big slate that we've done with Clark on it. So just forgive my soliloquy on him. But if he's playing even 18 minutes, that is a super duper uber smash, given he was actually in play last year, playing second power play in about 14 minutes a night. You can see that his DK points per minute was 1.61. And yes, some of that usage was offensively tilted, but like, come on, oh my god, like this dude is unbelievable. You watch him, he's a magnet for pucks too. Like it's really fun. He's just a fun fantasy player. And so 3,400 in a matchup with Montreal, I hope that they screw up all their lines and no one wants to play LA, because like I'll just play Brant Clark as a one-off, and because I think he truly has triple bonus upside. And for this price, it's just not even close to how I view his range of outcomes. So yeah, Brant Clark. Anyone else interest you? Like if there's any one-offs you have in mind, since obviously we can't really trust the lineup at this point.
Not entirely. I mean, LA is still, as of right now, a -125 favorite on the road on a back-to-back. It's 6 over under. Maybe some people get there, maybe not. The prices do seem low. I think Fiala, again, like the Fiala Clark situation is interesting to me. Like Fiala has also looked very, very, very good. It just feels like they just don't have a cohesive. It just feels like Byfield is actually just not quite up to what they need at this point, which is just kind of hurting that lineup 5-on-5. But and then on the Montreal side, you're either playing the Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky line or you're not. People will play it tomorrow. They play it every slate. They're playing an LA team on a back-to-back who's given up quite a few goals in the past 2 games. People are going to click on Montreal tomorrow. They're, again, perfectly correlated, those 3. They're not that expensive. I think they honestly should be more expensive than they are. And Caulfield's already up to 7,100. Well, I guess he kind of started higher, dropped down, but he's backed up to 7,100, 4 goals in 4 games. It kind of feels like this could be get a little chalky, not insane levels probably, but 11 games, not insane, but I do think people are going to play it. I think I'm probably fading it.
Yeah.
I still respect this LA team a lot, and it feels a little bit more goalie driven than anything else. Like Kemper was kind of battling an injury, and we'll see if he's back, but I think I just hopefully, luck out and fade it.
Yeah. I certainly don't. I'm not sure if we can trust I think Phoenix Copley was called up to be the backup for LA.
Yeah, well, because he came in.
Oh, yeah, good call. You're right. Maybe we get Big Save Dave on the rebound.
Right back.
Yeah.
Make a single save, Dave. It was against Toronto. But like people are, I don't know. I don't want to say one of the top owned stacks of the slate, but like it's going to be up there. There's reasons I think to fade a lot of the other ones, but we haven't talked about a few that will be owned. It's just like, man, like you could play this and a couple of other ones. That's kind of where my head goes. It's like,
I will say I was expecting to see changed lines for Montreal. I didn't see any lines because they lost 6-3 their last time out. So
they'll just move like Newhook out for Josh Anderson and call it a day. That's what they do.
I swore there was something to Slafkovsky being moved down, but I didn't see it anywhere. So I'm just gonna stick with this. But keep an eye out for it. Obviously, say if Kirby Doc replaces Slafkovsky, like I honestly prefer that, like for fantasy. I'm probably just not going to play much Montreal this year if at these prices. But if I were, it'd probably be because they're twisting my arm on someone like top line Doc or something like that. But all right, moving on into a back-to-back Sabres team that is. Hold on, let me check. Okay, game's not over yet, so can't really say anything about the Sabres. Let's start with Columbus. What a fun, not fun. What a really great Sean Monahan moment to score that goal and get the zoom in and pointing at the banner and everything. Like that really was the moment of the night. I think Florida won the game, Is that right?
Yeah, Florida
I
won the
literally
game.
don't remember because Reinhardt.
I watched the end. Oh my god! I mean, they scored to make it a 1-goal game. Chinikov gets absolutely robbed blind to tie it. Just really, it felt like it was almost destiny. They were going to tie that game up, and they just couldn't quite do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they have looked fine. I mean, I'm not going to say great. They haven't looked terrible. And like they were, I assume, I mean, they definitely, not even assume, they definitely had the highest owned players on that slate against Florida, right? I mean, like if I would have told you at the beginning of the season, like Columbus give the highest owned players at home against Florida on the entire slate, you would have been like, oh, okay. But a couple of them got there. You said Monahan scored. He had 5 shots. What's his name? The guy that I can't see because he's so cheap. Where is he? Kent Johnston moved up a little bit, but he still had 10 points, 3,500. So yeah, there's some, everyone's cheap other than Werenski. And Werenski has 2 shot bonuses in 3 games and 2 goals.
Yeah, that's pretty good for your 7K defenseman. If you can get that every night, keep doing it. So yeah, it's hard to argue. Obviously, Monahan jumps from 3,300 last slate up to 4,500 here, which is obviously a more inline price for a guy getting 20 minutes and with a power play 1 job where he's actually shooting. I would say Ken Johnson's still pretty dramatically underpriced for what we've seen so far. Do you have the R thing up with Kent Johnson's shots per game? Because I think that's pretty solid still, right? On a per game basis, Kent Johnson?
Hold on. I had to redo the whole thing because hold on. I will get it. Talk about something else while this loads because it's just not loading.
But yeah, I don't think we're no, okay, Buffalo's bad again. Pittsburgh just tied it. I was gonna say whether Buffalo's good or bad, but Buffalo gets Paterka back in the lineup. He's alongside Tage and Tuck, Benson with Cousins and Quinn. So pretty much how they opened the season. The only changes are how they're deploying the power play, which is an absolute tire fire. Jason Zucker and Owen Power basically replacing Tuck and Paterka. So very strange. Don't love it, but it's the hand we're dealt. Against Columbus, gotta think 7,600 Tage Thompson is going to draw considerable attention. Maybe not like 25% owned on a 11 game slate attention, but that's a very cheap price for a guy. I think he's averaging 10 shot attempts a game. Just incredible stuff from Tage so far. And yeah, I think Buffalo's going to get ownership. I don't really see an argument against it, given the way this Columbus team is playing.
Never gonna load R, but yeah, Buffalo will get ownership. I hate them. They ruin everything I've ever had. They're minus 135, road favorites in the highest total on the slate. 6.5. Actually, you know what? I don't think it was even posted because I was going to say I never saw a 6.5 minus 115. I don't think it was up until now. Vegas saw enough. They said, yep, let's boost that up a little bit and put it up there because this Sabres team is not good. And I hate them. I truly cannot describe how much I hate them. Anyways, yeah. So Levi will be in net.
What if we build the whole plane out of Devin Levi tomorrow?
I don't even. He's played well.
Okay, just trust me. Tage Thompson, I think, was averaging 10 shot attempts a game coming into this one.
He was. I know he was. He was going into this game. I can't imagine that stuck. He only has 2 on net right now with a goal and the first shot of the game. But yeah.
Let's just keep going.
Paterka's back and looked unbelievable. I don't know. Play Buffalo. Don't play Buffalo. I hate them.
Yes, constant on the Morning Skate podcast. The Rangers, not expecting any changes here. Zibanejad had, I think, a 30-pointer the last time out, which, congratulations to those people. I'll just say it again. you think of the years Trocheck and Zibanejad had last year, and you would think that Trocheck was a whole lot better than Mika. And you then sort of look at the underlying numbers to that on a permanent basis, and it's like, well, they should play about the same number of minutes, and they look pretty identical. I doubt we get any sort of ownership discrepancy between Zibanejad and Trocheck. Like possibly we might have on opening night or something before Zibanejad was looking fine to start. But I at least found that kind of interesting because you would just think that Trocheck was lapping Zibanejad based on last year's statistics, and just never really occurred. And so at similar prices, you can play it. Detroit stinks. I like. I don't like attacking the Rangers like offensively, but man, I think Detroit kind of stinks. So that might be a good move to just play Rangers, but on the road heading into Detroit for a revenge matchup for Eric Gustafsson, back in the lineup with a properly constructed power play in DeBrincat, Larkin, Kane with Raymond as the other guy there.
Yep.
Yeah. Any interest in this game?
I like Panarin, honestly. I think the Panarin Trocheck thing is interesting. I think this Detroit team kind of, like you said, they're not good, bad defensively. And I almost wonder if enough people convince themselves, like you're saying, of this Zibanejad thing and even say, oh, for a little bit less, it just happened last game and power plays and just like this Zibanejad guy, Jesus, like I'm not doing it. Like he'll have a 30 burger every once in a while. I will not be a part of it. All of the donkeys will be heeing and hawing as I sit there with my Skalansky bucks. Yeah, I think Trocheck, Panarin, and maybe Lafreniere, but I don't know, maybe not. It kind of feels like at 5,400 you're asking an awful lot of a guy not in the top power play, and I think at 7,200 you're asking an awful lot out of a guy that doesn't want to shoot the puck and Adam Fox. Like I think you can just play that 2-man and feel pretty good about getting potentially quite a bit of the correlation that you might need to win, especially because it's all going to come through Panarin.
Yep. We got a comment about Hedel, Kako, and Will Cooley. They're just not getting enough minutes to be relevant, I think. Like maybe on turbo slates or smaller slates is when they would come into play, but it's just really hard to put up like had to have it DFS scores in 13 minutes a night. And there's just no indication that that's going to change. So it's particularly interesting or maybe more relevant on days where Matt Rempe dresses, because like he's out there to play 4 minutes. Like, he's not an NHL player, so like he's not going to play NHL minutes. But like when Johnny Brodzinski's on the fourth line, it doesn't strike me as like super likely that this line plays 5 minutes and that just forces the Keto line to play 15, 16, 17 minutes. And I just want that upside, and we haven't seen it. I don't really think there's any reason to project it. So even though they have really strong underlying numbers, and they had really strong last year too, like it's not just a small sample thing for this year. That line was genuinely really good. Well, was it last year? I know. Kako and Cooley were obviously a good pair last year. Hedel missed a bunch of time, so like who's to know? But yeah, like the players, just don't really like the role on an 11-game slate.
Yep, 6.5 over under plus 100. Rangers are minus 148. I think as far as the upper tier, like Panarin has 7.33 iCorsi for per game, shooting a ton. Zibanejad and Trocheck are pretty similar. I think I will end up giving that quite a good hard look. I like it more than anything we've talked about so far. Them and the Devils are probably the two that I think I'm keying in on the most, and not Detroit, that's for sure.
Yeah. Tarasenko mispractice.
Good night, Sabres.
There was cool. Tarasenko mispractice. There was a placeholder on the fourth line, which like it could be like Rasmussen was a placeholder for Tarasenko, and Mott was a placeholder for Rasmussen, and so on and so on. But yeah, obviously they're unknown. But really, the primary interests are the top line and Gustafsson in a revenge spot, by the way. 2,600 power play. Definitely a good way to punt defense, if you will. In St. Louis, the Islanders arrive. Noah Dobson is just crashing price wise, 5,700 now. Barzal, Horvat below 6K, and Anthony Duclair and Siplikov should remain top power play after what they did on what did they last play Saturday? Am I making that up? Did they play Monday?
God, they played against. It was Sunday. They played the late game. It was the Patrick Waugh back in Colorado game.
Yeah, that was
Sunday.
Saturday.
I thought that was Sunday. Maybe it was Monday. Maybe you're right because it was like a standalone late game. It was like 9 start.
Yeah, was it Monday?
If only we had computers in our hands.
Yeah. No, I couldn't find it. Whatever. Who cares? Yes. So they played Monday and put up a gazillion, and now they're all really cheap heading into St. Louis. That seems pretty good. I can't say that I'm not interested in just a 4-man Islanders 1 plus Dobson. So what say you here?
I did want to mention as we move into this Fiala from Clark. Clark just got the assist on the goal. Just wanted to make sure you were aware because I know that you like him a lot. This game, as we're getting into it, it does to me feel like a really interesting one on both sides. It's a 6 over under, of course. Islanders are minus 135. I don't think people are going to be all that interested in this game in general. It is again, like I think there's 2 incredibly good stacks here though. Like the Brock Nelson slappies and the Zibanejad slappies got together and they're still just spanking it to the recent performances. Brock Nelson's been very good. I will give him that. But man, this Horvat, Barzal, Dobson, Duclair situation has not flinched. I know it hasn't gone insane yet. It's been good. It's been just not all coming together in this perfect situation. Like they all haven't just smashed. They've all gotten points. They've all scored. They've all had shots. It's going to happen. I'm not saying it's here. I'm very, very much a big believer in both sides of this game with one player, and that's Matt Barzal on one side and Jordan Kyrou on the other. And the reason why Jordan Kyrou becomes even more interesting now is not only is he shooting a metric ton and scoring a good bit, 6 points and 2 goals in 4 games, he's reunited with Robert Thomas at 5.
Before I switch to St. Louis, I just wanted to mention that obviously it's super early in the year or whatever, but at 5-on-5 so far, when the Islanders 1 plus Dobson has been on the ice, they have a 4.2 expected goals per 60 and 6.4 actual goals. Like at their tempo super high, like they're doing exactly what you would expect this line to do. So just ignore the fact that it's the Islanders. That this foursome especially is going to be a ton of fun all year long. And yes, now we can get to St. Louis where, your boys, Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas, they're friends again. So how does Brandon Saad fare? Sound to you alongside those 2?
Of course, that is the issue here. There's plenty of guys I'd like more than Brandon Saad, but I do think that he's probably better than the 3,300. Like it's one of those situations where if you told like a guy, what was the team we were talking about earlier? Let me just look for a second. I mean, there's a few different teams that have situations that fit this kind of nicely, but like people will click on like, Ivan Barbashev is probably not as good of an example, but like 4,700 Ivan Barbashev, not the top power play. People are going to click on him. People are going to click on these third wingers that jump into the fray with these top lines and, Luster Rainins and these other guys. And like, people aren't clicking on Brandon Saad and he's actually been fine, his entire career and even into last year. And like, yeah, I'm not saying it's an absolute, you got to play him. The guy doesn't really shoot. He hasn't had a ton of run. Shoots enough, I guess. It's fine. I really do. I like the idea of the game stack probably more than how it's going to turn out because this game is probably going to end up like 2-2 and go to overtime. And then it's going to be like freaking Colton Parayko from Jake Neighbors. And that's just like, and then you're just going to sit there and be like, I almost was directionally accurate, but not quite. But yeah, I don't know.
That is full on Braden Shen erasure because every time you want a blue to do something, it's always Braden Shen who does.
That's actually that's the guy I'm thinking. I don't know why it's just like the Poryeko shot bonus in like the first period of the first game is just so stuck in my brain of like, oh yeah, after everything
I
we've
think they
gone through.
just, I think the people just really wanted to hear you say Colton Parayko, and you just let them, you just let them have what they came here for. So,
The people are welcome.
all right. Yeah, that's about it. I can't imagine playing Buchnevich and Neighbors at these prices when you could just play Islanders for basically the same price. And yeah, obviously Thomas and Kyrou are fine, but you know where my allegiance lies there. Edmonton heading into Nashville. DJ, did we fix the Edmonton Oilers? Like, did Mitchkov set something off inside their locker room that not only saved the Philadelphia Flyers organization, but also the Edmonton Oilers? Like, is that what people are saying?
They are saying that, yes. It's funny actually. I got a call this morning from Knobloch, and he's like, "He just wanted to thank us, for our bravery and hard work and dedication to helping the Edmonton Oilers." I mean, this is the tale of two teams that are, I don't want to say identical. Like it's identical in output, maybe not in the reason for the output. So like on one side, and honestly, maybe it's more correlated than you think. But again, like I was looking into some of the PDOs and because I started with this because I was like, how crazy of a shooting percentage do the Calgary Flames have? And it's abhorrent. But then I was like, wait a minute, how bad is Nashville's shooting percentage? And it's nonsensical. Like the problem that they're having is that their defensively are much worse as anticipated, but they have zero finishing. I mean, it's just been a train wreck. And then they're hanging out their goalies to dry and they're not bailing them out. And you see Saros, who came into the year a little bit banged up. I am going to guarantee tomorrow the cards will turn over and there's a 100% chance that I will have a Yossi Forsberg team. Will people play it or not? I don't know. I will. I'm going to have it. I might even take a look at a guy like Stamkos. I'm probably not going to do it because I'm a coward. But like this team, the well is going to break. And what team is it going to break against? It's going to be Edmonton. Now, on the other end, I guarantee without a shadow of a doubt, and you know what? Joey's in here. So, Joey, if you're still listening, I guarantee you're sitting there right now just begging me to say it. So, I'm going to say it for you. And that is every single person that bets on hockey for some reason is fixated on the fact that Leon Draisaitl has like 100,000 points per game against the Nashville Predators. It doesn't make any sense and it's stupid. And I'm sure that like it's going to happen tomorrow because life is stupid and not fair. And I'm a Sabres fan. So yeah, it's like tomorrow I will retweet at some point that because people are just going to post it. They're going to show you that Leon Draisaitl has an average of, I believe it is 4 touchdowns every single game he's ever played against Nashville. And then there's no reason for it. And then they're going to play him because they're going to say, oh, him and McDavid, and he always beats them. But I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to play Nashville, which I don't even think is all that sneaky. I feel like just like, the two like best projectable players on the slate, I might play those guys against a bad defensive team. But yeah,
that literally is sometimes going against the grain.
I know. Yeah, I know.
These lines mean nothing.
Yeah, Yossi burned people like you, and now people are not going to play him. So yeah, I will be.
I'll never do it again. That's for damn sure. Anyway, the lines here, we have no idea. I doubt Cole Smith remains in the top 6 after the debacle that was Tuesday. But whether it's Novak or Parsonen or who the hell knows, Cole Smith twice, I didn't even catch that. Like we have no idea. So, I think just picking Yossi and a one-off is really a good way to go about things. But it's at least worth noting. Maybe there's like a Parsonen or Evangelista or Tomasino top line where Nyquist is, and they try to use Nyquist to solidify like a Stamkos Marchessault line. I don't know. Maybe I can certainly see that working, but there's going to be changes here, so just be on the lookout for that.
I'm gonna ask you quickly though. In his last 12 games, how many games did Leon Draisaitl have at least 2 points,
including playoffs?
I don't know. Actually, it doesn't look like it
does. What are you looking at that you can't deduce?
No, I didn't want to think. I'm thinking now. No, there's no playoffs on this.
Okay. So he's 1 for 4 this year. Let's say
What do you
4.
you
What?
just can I'm saying only against Nashville, Leon Draisaitl. What do you mean this year? I haven't played him this year.
Okay.
And I already gave
So,
you a very strong prior that it's way more than you think. I'm just going to tell you, it's 9. 9 times he has scored at least 2 points, 8 of them over 3 points, and 3 of them over 5 points. Well, 5 points. They're 5 points exactly. Like, and again, it's just nonsense.
3 times.
3 times in the last 12 games. And he's played him like 20 something. I don't even know. You're going back to like his rookie season at this point. But I'm just looking at the last 12. 3 times he's had 5 points. 2 hat tricks. One's a 4-goal game. I don't know why he does this. I'm just saying that every time they play, I see people like, yep, Leon against Nashville, gotta bet 2 points. And I'm like, for what?
This is incredible. All right.
It's a real thing. I'm just telling you. And I want everyone to know.
Let's see.
Yeah, go. You can sort by, I didn't even know you could, I was using StatMuse. So if StatMuse is wrong, I'm sorry. But it just, normally it's like, I think that's like an AI garbage thing. So yeah. 42 points in 26 games. That was says.
He has 25 goals in 26 games against Nashville. Yeah,
it's nonsense. Like, and the thing is I know it's nonsense. I think adamantly not going to play it. I know it happens.
Last year he was 7 points in 3 games. Let's see, year before that. I mean, we got to get some of these 5.
It's so stupid.
10 points in 3 games 2 years ago.
Why not, right? You're not busy. He's really doing anything better those days. He might as well have 100 points.
And then 5 goals in 3 games, 6 points the year before that. Like, okay, yeah. I don't know. This dude loves Broadway, I guess. So yeah, very fun.
I want to ask him, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. But if I ever see him, I'm just going to say, "Is something up with that?" And he'll probably not know. You know what? We've sidetracked enough, but I have to say, did you watch the interview where McDavid said he has a phobia of ketchup and like acted as if he's like genuinely scared of ketchup?
We saw it in the show. Like, I'm trying to picture if there was an interview attached to it, but there was like the trainer bringing the bottle of ketchup under a towel and like presenting it on the table without Connor seeing it.
I know. I need to watch the show. I'm every single day too. I think like today's the day, and then it's midnight, and I'm like, I need to sleep.
And then you're like, I just watched 18 hours of Detroiters today. Again.
For the 90th time. We have 2 games left. I gave very little of actual note here. So why don't I mean it's just very, and again, for you keeping the lines out 6.5 -1 away. This was the highest total for the Sabres populated, and it's basically a pick 'em -118 on the Oilers. Like, I do think this game is interesting, and I do.
I thought you were talking about the next game. I was about to lose my goddamn mind.
Oh, I can't wait. No. We can play guess that line in just a moment, but I do want to just, the last note is that there's probably, I think there's 5 players in this game that have over hold on, my God, why is it so slow? Okay. Play guess that line, and then I'll go back and I'll tell you how many players are shooting a ton in the Edmonton game.
So the line we're guessing is San Jose at Chicago, just the absolute toilet bowl. I'm gonna go Chicago -145.
-192.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so it was just a Calgary thing lastly. I cannot.
It's a Calgary thing.
That is
so
incredible.
Yeah, but the thing I was gonna say is there are Forsberg 12 shot attempts per game in 3 games, of course. Yossi 10.67 shot attempts per game in 3 games. Bouchard 9.5, Stamkos 8, Skinner 7.25. I mean, he's not playing on the power play, but again, like there's quite a bit of firepower, and there will be some ownership, but I don't think it'll be attached to the guys I mentioned off the very beginning of that, which is Yossi and Forsberg. We can move over where I do think ownership will get to, and that is Connor Bedard.
Yeah, this show's already a total disaster, so I'm just gonna say what I was thinking. I got really confused when you said Skinner, because I'm like, Stuart Skinner's on the power play. And then I thought, well, wait, we didn't even talk about the fact that the Tuesday GPP winner was a goalie goal. Like, the main difference between DraftKings and FanDuel is that DraftKings counts goalie goals. Mr. Puck 77 taught me that in 2017, and I never forgot that lesson. In one of like the silly, how to play NHL DFS articles that were just from some random site, I saw that, and it had legs of its own in the MSP sort of community at the time. So it hasn't left me. And yes, the goalie power play goal, I'm sorry, does not count on underdog as a goal, unfortunately. Nope. So yeah, that's how that cookie crumbles. But anyway, just I got very confused when you're reading out Skinner shot attempts and thinking about how that would work. But yes, that's right. Jeff Skinner still plays in the NHL. All right. On the San Jose side, yes, into Chicago here. I don't know. Wookie. Let's see.
Yeah.
Should I?
Eklund's been really, really, really good. Like I think if you watch the San Jose, which don't ask me, I have been watching San Jose.
Yeah.
Holy crap, does that guy look good? It's just he makes passes that you don't even see until he's already passed the puck, and it's impressive. And I do think that when you get Celebrini back in this mix, it's going to make a nice difference. I'm not even going to say unplayable. I think it is in play. Like you could just play Toffoli though. Like you don't need to play Eklund, even though I'm saying like he's going to produce a lot of the goal that potential there. But the guy doesn't shoot, and he's day to day. Well, he does shoot. When did he start shooting? Now?
Well, probably as soon as he started playing with Michael Granlund, who's like the antithesis of shooting the puck.
Yeah, he's learned. Is he going to play? I don't even know. I guess we don't know right now because he's day to day.
Yeah, this is one of the teams that I did not get to because ran out of time. So who knows? And
he actually has 6 shot attempts per game. William Eklund, who I was just saying never shoots the puck and never did last year. And now all of a sudden he's I don't know. He went to the camp of Quinn Hughes and maybe he's learned something.
In all fairness, it's going to help on a per game basis when you're playing 21, 24, and 21 minutes a night. This is rates, so it's per minute. And he was a year younger, rookie, all that. So very, very likely that he's one of those guys who takes a big step forward.
Let me give you the update. It was unknown reason, still unsure why Eklund did not practice. In his place was Gushchin. Well,
okay, so that does not sound like a player who's going to miss time because if we know one thing here.
Oh, and then Morawski said he is a game time decision.
Okay. I'm just gonna.
So I guess if you are sitting there at the end of the day and you have, I got to assume Gushchin's 2,500.
Like, look, no, Gushchin's not playing on the top line. Just get this. Just stop. Don't even.
Let me
believe.
Happening.
He's a placeholder.
Wookie believes. I believe. Can you believe?
No. This is what the preseason's for, fellas. We don't get to have fun during the regular season. Gushchin's not happening here. All right. Yeah. Keep an eye on it. I have no interest though. I again think this Chicago team's kind of good, and don't care who knows about it because I lost to the Calgary Slappies on Tuesday night. So looking at Chicago's lineup, again, I can't imagine this changes. They looked pretty good once again, just solid up and down the lineup. So Seth Jones, 5,800, double bonus candidate anytime he steps foot on the ice. Martinez's price is starting to slide. Keep an eye on that. 4,800. He is still eating pucks like it is his job. He gets a secondary power play role, which doesn't have a ton of value on this team, but it's not nothing. And he's alongside Seth Jones with the Bedard line all the time. So if that gets into the low 4s, then you start to get pretty interested, I think. But the main event, of course, is 7,400 Connor Bedard. I don't know. What more do we have to do? He doesn't even have expensive line mates. 4,300 Teravainen, 3K Nick Foligno. Congratulations on your absolute donkey chalk of the night. And guess what? I don't care. I'm playing it. You can't hurt me. It's way too cheap for this 4-man stack of Jones, Foligno, Bedard, Teravainen. It's just, I don't know. Bedard is, I think, taking a step. The team around him just looks good. Teravainen can definitely play. So I really like the upside here. And, I'm probably just looking at a similar late hammer situation to Tuesday night. So what do you got on Chicago for me?
Knowing that you're going to play Chicago makes me feel very good about fading them, but I do think they're
Perfect.
actually very legitimately good play. I like, it's just, again, Bedard is truly mispriced at 7,400, and his line mates are perfectly correlated, and it's very justified against the San Jose team that may be without the only other good player. Well, I'm not going to say that, I guess, but one of their better
Yeah.
players as well is at least potentially banged up. Let's just
Yeah.
get to the final game and get out of here, though.
I'll just say it again. The only reason that I'm a little skeptic or hesitant is that with Granlund on the top line, like that's a very responsible defensive player. You just sort of lose that off kilter speed of like a Celebrini possibility where it's just like back and forth, a ton of fun. Like I just don't see who's sustaining that for San Jose. So like it could be sort of a muck and grind type game. So we'll see. I'm going to take a close look at ownership, of course, and if it gets too out of hand, I have no problem fading chalky players on the Chicago Blackhawks. But it's going to be tough to do so. But speaking of pivots, hey, Matvey Michkov remains $4,500. I'm pretty sure I said somewhere in the last 48 hours, somewhere I said that I would play Michkov, I think up to like 30% owned and like 6-7K easily for what I'm seeing out of him and this role on the Flyers. And I don't plan on stopping that take because he finally did it for us. He won the slate. And his line mates are just egregiously inexpensive. Tippett went down in price, as did Morgan Frost. And yeah, they should be paired at both 5-on-5 and the power play. So load it back up, fellas.
It's one of those things where it's like, well, no, just play it. Like, there's nothing else I can say. Like, it's very obvious, but it does help you afford exactly what I'm trying to build tomorrow, which is, like I said, probably either a Rangers with Panarin, a Bedard, a Forsberg Yossi. Again, these are kind of the situations I'm looking at, and this is just, my favorite probably way to do it is to play it through Frost, Michkov, and I don't think you're inherently wrong to take a look at Jamie Drysdale. Like, last game he got in some trouble. He played 13.5. Before then, he was actually getting run and blocking shots. I don't really know why he only played 13.5, but
they were leading, so that seems like a pretty if they're in a trailing game state, he probably plays more.
Yeah. And, all of this being said, I think it's going to be very easily forgotten that Konechny could have really, really put the Slate in a difficult spot if he got a goal. Like, he had 5 shots and an assist. He was a goal away from making this Slate turn into the, had to have the Philly onslaught situation, which, again, could be a way to build here. Like, throw Konechny in. He's incredibly good at hockey. They're all shooting a ton. On the other side of this, I think there's one rule that I'm, even with Vince Dunn being in, which was a bit of an unexpected twist. I think if you're playing Seattle, you're putting in Montour. Like, the guy is 8 shot attempts per game. He's 5,400. I don't think you could throw a stone and hit a guy in the Kraken that you want to play, and I think you could still make it work. There's some better than others. If you're looking at the screen, you would say that's Bjorkstrand, Stevenson, Shane Wright, and Jaden Schwartz.
Yeah,
that right line looked. That could be wrong,
yeah.
honestly. I didn't look at hockey viz or
look
anything.
At this is accurate to what they did last game. Harvey Bjorkstrand not on the power play.
Well, goodbye to those bags. So yeah, I think like the way I'm looking at this is, number one, I think that top line was pretty good against Nashville. And unfortunately for Shane Wright and the people that were saying last night that he's their best player, he didn't benefit from that.
He was their lowest deployed player. Guys like
they scored
high card
5-on-5
time on ice.
Yeah, they scored a 5-on-5 twice. He was out there for both of them. It was out there with, I believe, Montour for both of them. Maybe one of them wasn't, but I thought it was out there for Montour with both of them. McCann never really score, and Shane Wright doesn't get a point and plays 12 minutes. And it's just like, Oh man, and that line just didn't play much. Like it just is what it is. But I do think in a situation where you're saying like I'm playing all of this, like I think if you're building a game stack here, you're not wrong, especially and I know goalies, whatever, blah blah blah. Like I think Ivan Fedotov is not NHL ready. So I think if I will be considering a game stack, a late game stack, 10 o'clock. It's cheap. There's very easy ways to build it, and I may take a look at Shane Wright, but could be unnecessary. Like you could just play Montour with Tolvanen too. Like Tolvanen's totally fine. Other players are fine. Like
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
I like it a lot. So I do. I like the Seattle side. Like I'm not afraid to play the Flyers. Call me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so this game looks like a lot of fun, really good prices, and shouldn't be all that popular in all honesty, looking around at the rest of the slate. So let's move into top stacks and guaranteed goals. Do you have a stack off the top of mind that you want to tout?
I mean, the thing I'm definitely playing tomorrow is Forsberg and Yossi. I just don't think there's a world where I actually click on a Ryan O'Reilly. I think it would logically make the most sense, and it's not like you couldn't do it. I think on it, I guess what I'm getting to is I think I'd actually play it with Stamkos, 7,100. But I do think like if Yossi is getting 3 points, it doesn't mean that they're all going to Forsberg. Like Stamkos could have 5, a goal and an assist on the power play, and like it could work. So I am giving that a look, especially against an Edmonton team that is not very good in net or defensively.
Okay. DJ's buying the early season Edmonton sleepwalking Kool-Aid. I'm just gonna go. Let's see. Did I take Philly as one of my top stacks last show? I don't think so. I don't think I did.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna chase those points. Just lacing on the running shoes. But the Michkov price, is gonna climb. That's fine. It's very, very strange and odd that Tippett and Frost both decreased in price. They are directly correlated to the guy. Tippett, I mean, it's a standalone fantasy monster. We know this from last year when they didn't have Michkov and they were terrible at scoring, and Tippett was still doing all the shots, all the goal scoring. And for you underdog folks, he hits a metric ton. So, good little scroll there. Too. And then Morgan Frost is just kind of a pet project of mine. I don't know. It was like I was looking through for the newsletter. You'll see me mention Morgan Frost in the news or in the slate review. But like, this guy was a better prospect than Robert Thomas was. And very similar in that, like, yeah, he's probably not going to shoot a ton. But like, yeah, I was kind of surprised going down the memory hole and being like, just how good Morgan Frost was supposed to be. And I think that Michkov is going to unlock that in him. Just some of the plays they were making, it's just like, that's not the Flyers team we saw last year. Everything is still there for the Flyers, all the structure, all of the competitiveness. But I just think there's a honestly pretty unlimited ceiling talent wise on that top line. So I just really hope it sticks. I hope that Luchenko and Couturier can sort of shore up the middle six defensively, and just let that top line cook on offense. And the matchup with Seattle makes a lot of sense too. So I'm just going to keep riding Philly one. DJ, what's your second stack?
Yeah, I mean, I could give my true second favorite and just say that there's a lot of cheap stacks out there. I might just do it. I mean, again, you can't play both of mine together, but whatever. I think the Trocheck Panarin situation is really strong, and I don't know if you need a third again. I guess if you honestly, I think you could even convince me to play like Keandre Miller with it if you want to try to hit a blocks bonus and get a point and whatever at 4K. Like I probably won't play it with Fox or Lafreniere, but you could. It's up to you. Free country.
Okay. Let's see. Just want to see if we got anything interesting out of LA here.
That's exactly what I was doing, and nothing was showing up, and I could not get it to. So, but I mean, I feel very similar that's going to be the very cheap stack that no one's going to play. Not even cheap, but like it could be different, and like people aren't going to move over.
Yeah, it's possible that Laferriere was on their final power play, down 5-2. So I'm just gonna go with Kempe, Laferriere, and Clark. Though I have no problem replacing Laferriere with Kevin Fiala. Laferriere's 3,600, so it's not free. I certainly don't think that's a great one-off play or anything, but yeah, I think Clark adds a lot of value, and Adrian Kempe sub 7K is another really really awesome play on a back to back. Probably depresses ownership, especially coming off of a pretty lackluster night in Toronto.
Yeah, let's do guaranteed goals, and we'll get to a couple questions, and then we'll get out of here.
Sounds good.
Last time, honestly, I don't remember what we did last time, and I definitely forgot to bet them. So, probably had a couple hit. Who knows?
I think I had Brock Besser, so I don't think that went well.
I didn't write them down last time either.
Yeah, I don't know who else
I had one. Okay, well, my phone's like that. I'll listen back and write them down. Yeah. So again, for anyone new, 11K salary total for 2 players that we think are going to score on this Thursday slate. With all of that stalling, do you have someone?
Yeah, I'm gonna break it out. Alex Ovechkin, he's scoring his first goal of the year at 6K.
Wow, very brave of him to do such things. I'll go with Cairo. I'll go with 6,800 Jordan Cairo back with Robert Thomas. Save myself like 4,200. I think that, yeah, I'm just going to continue to bet on Jordan Cairo as much as possible, especially when he's with a player that can lift him a little bit more.
Sounds good to me. I have 5K left. I'm just going to go back to the JJ Paterka well. Grab that. Maybe the power play goes back to normal. I don't know. Like, you got to think after putting up this many goals that like maybe they get a chance. They didn't have many power. I think they had 1 power play, it looks like, against Pittsburgh. So we didn't get much of a representation there. But and even if he's not on the top power play unit, it's not that big of a deal. But obviously would prefer it. So give me Ovi and Paterka.
That's really interesting, and I like it. I'm going to go with Teravainen. Did you have Chicago as one of your stacks? I'm trying to remember.
I did not.
No, I'll go Teravainen. I think he's 100 off, but I don't really care. Yeah, I love that play. Like Bedard is so good. He's just gonna, that's the play that you're just making, and I think that's really good. A few questions. So for the ask of doing underdog draft live, I tried that once and it didn't work, so I feel like I just never went back to it. But maybe to start shows, we might do one today. Honestly, would have been a good day, but I was a little bit behind getting ready. But we'll do that at some point. But it's more of like just going over all the news and notes to like get ready for the slate. And we talked a lot. I talked a ton about underdog to start. Maybe I'll do a draft next time if people want that. As we kick off the show, we'll just do one just to kind of center ourselves around the slate. And then, yeah, I mean, the Columbus thing is interesting. I just, again, like, I get it. They've been really good. The cheating off Monahan, Marchenko, it's going to be owned again. I mean, again, it's just kind of the way I feel about it is like, do I want to play into that ownership? I don't think I do, for what's already happened. Like, they've already been good. I don't think it's sustainable. Any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, I am pretty much right in line with you. I understand it. I will acknowledge that it is true, but that I don't really care. I'm still firmly at the stage of the season where like I'm still trying to play my off season, preseason type takes versus like overreacting to 3 games. Like I just don't really care. So we'll blend it in as we go, but yeah, not overly concerned with like trying to jump on the latest and greatest thing. Which obviously is Columbus one right now.
It's like if you missed it, you missed it. If you got it, you got it. But like, how long is that going to last? And it's just, it's not. None of those guys scream to me as the guy that's going to be a catalyst for that kind of success to be sustainable for the long run. So yeah, that's just how I play. And if I'm wrong again, and they, Monahan scores as 5 shots on goal, that just happens, and I lose. But I'm certainly going to be mindful of ownership creeping in there, especially as we mentioned, there's a lot of good top price plays on this slate that you'd want to dumpster dive down to get to. So I think we gave a pretty good overview, hour and 20 for 11 games. I'd say that's good for us.
Yeah, that's totally fair. There's way more even good comments in the chat here, and they're acknowledged, but we should get out of here. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We will be back here next week. I will note that for the Friday slate, it looks like we have, I think, 4 or maybe a 3-game, 3-game Friday slate. I do plan on writing that up over on my newsletter. So, you can see the prior write-ups if you really want, but, more generally, just make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. And that way you can get those emailed to you rather than having to find me on Twitter or see it in Discord or whatever. So I'm on Twitter at Fake Moods. DJ's at DJ _Mitchell 94. And the podcast is at Morningscape Pod. Just shoot one of us a DM if you want in on the Discord. We've been adding people still, which is crazy to think that 8 years into this endeavor, we're still picking up new people who want to get involved, but it's much appreciated all the same. And yeah, shout out to everyone in here who gave us a like on YouTube. We're still trying to get to that, what is it? The monetization number or whatever of subscribers. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. It just helps us out, and we can, actually potentially make what I pay for the website or whatever. Just that doesn't do anything right now, but just helps us out, keeps the lights on here, and helps support the show.
And if there's any specific questions you ever have, DM me. I answer everyone except for bots and garbage. I don't answer them, even though they say I have good charisma or something. I just don't answer those ones, even though they're right. They say oh, I'd love to beat you. I saw your profile, and I'm like, I know that's probably right. I'd want to meet me, but other than that, I answer pretty much everyone. And if you have specific questions or whatever, just shoot them my way. Unless if you're a bot, then thank you, but I'm not coming over to your house.
Darn. Well, I'll try a different way. All right, that'll do it. Thank you all for listening. From Doug, from DJ, and from myself, have a good Thursday, everybody, and we will see ya.